Hi, I'm Jeff Sharon from UCF Sports Night. You can now watch UCF TV 24 hours a day on Bright House Digital Channel 1.
Hello everybody, I'm Charna Davis-Wiese and welcome to UCF Expressions. We have so many people for you to meet today and so much to talk about. We're going to get right into things. First, welcome back a good friend, Max Croft from UCF Digital Media, and we're going to be talking about one of their latest projects, which is making a huge, enormous star out of a fish.
That's right, that's right, that's right. Well, it's great to be back here. We really appreciate coming and talking to you and the opportunity that Jerry Klein gives us to come and share what we're doing in our program. So I'm going to talk quick and let you see some of our students. You know, our program, the visual language program, is part of digital media, and we have some really talented students over there. We're now in our 5th year of our program.
I can't believe it.
I know, it's hard to believe. And we're working on our 4th animated movie. In our program, we really teach the students who are passionate about what they do and very talented, and they want to get into the industry. They want to make feature films, commercials, or they want to get into games or television. And they spend their first year learning the concepts and the theories of animation, and the second year they make a movie. And that's what I'd like to talk about today, the movie they're making this year, Atlas Revenge.
Now Atlas is not a huge, strong Atlas physically, like Atlas holding up the earth and the heavens and the sky. This is a fish who actually ends up being strong in the end.
You know, it's a great story, and I'm glad you mentioned that first, as a matter of fact, because we have some very talented professors over in our program. Darlene Hedrika, we have Phil Peters, we have Jim Story, Joanne Adams, and we also have Stella Sung, who works with us as well, too.
Who is mentioned, by the way, in practically every one of our shows.
Everybody knows Stella, that's right. Stella wrote this wonderful piece of music called Atlas Revenge. And we took that music, and our students are creating a movie around that music. The music is about a fish. I won't spoil it for you. I'll let the animators tell you about it.
Okay, we'll learn a little bit more about the fish Atlas, and as you say, Max has always wanted to show off his students, and
Absolutely.
Thank goodness every year there's more and more. First, we're going to meet the director, the art director, editor, everybody during the show, but first we're going to show you where to get in contact with this department through this website. We're back. We're talking about the soon-to-be new animated movie Atlas Revenge, and join me in welcoming Ricky Carlton. You are. I want to make sure I've got you're the assistant director.
Assistant director, yes.
The assistant director. Now, this is, as Max was saying, a 2-year program. You first spent your first year learning how to do this.
They joke it's kind of like boot camp, so.
But is it as tiring? Yeah, probably more so.
Much, yeah.
Because if I remember learning and editing and doing all this stuff, sometimes it's a late night or early morning.
Yeah, but it's definitely worth it, because in animation, it's like you can see the payoff right away. It's there on the screen. It's there in front of you from your pencil. So it's a really cool experience.
Except it takes a little more time than that to actually make it move.
Well, yeah.
I think that's probably the thing that's the biggest surprise to people, is how much time it takes to get an animated object to do such a few seconds of movement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a lot of work. As Max talked about our character, Atlas, our hero, our fish, we've recently been building him in 3D in our program, Autodesk Maya. And we actually have some clips of that, I believe. And it's a lot of work building the expressions for the fish. Each expression has to be built on its own. Like, say you've got a up brow, like the brow goes up. That has to be built in its own shape. And you have to build another shape for one half of the smile.
So is the mouth and the brow, are those separate pieces, or is it a whole different fish?
Well, there's one model, kind of like this. This is our RoboFish. There's one model in the 3D program like this, and you duplicate that and you reference it to the main model, and that's how the expressions are added on to that model. It's additive, so like you can put the brow up and the smile up at the same time. And it's a lot of work getting them all to work together correctly.
You have to get it all back down again.
Yeah, so it's a lot of work, but I think the clip actually shows some of his expressions in motion, and it's a pretty cool thing.
And so what you guys actually did in this really second year of schooling for it is you created a personality and a character out of nowhere.
Yeah, in the story, the fish is supposed to have the characteristics of like an 8-year-old boy. He's mischievous, he's playful, and he's energetic. So the challenge is really bringing that personality onto this inanimate, computerized object, basically. And that's what we're going through now.
Now, part of the story for the people is Atlas is having a grand old time in his tank, and then he thinks he meets a friend.
Right. This here actually is the RoboFish. It comes into the tank. His owners actually place it into the tank. It's a sucker fish. It's like a vacuum cleaner to clean the tank. And Atlas, being the playful fish that he is, he's unsure at first. He's like, what is this that's just dropped into my tank? And he goes over to check it out and realizes that it's not what he thinks it is. So the whole thing is a struggle between him thinking that this ominous presence in his tank is coming to destroy his world, when really it's just there to, clean the tank.
But Atlas becomes the other hero. Atlas. He becomes a strong, he's not going to stop at anything to protect his home.
Absolutely. He wants his home for himself, and he just wants to have fun, and he wants to write it back the way it was. So.
The way things, how'd you end up in this program?
Well, I went to Lyman High School in Longwood, Florida, and they had a computer animation magnet program. And I've always been interested in arts and film. So I kind of went into that with a little hesitation, not sure if it was right for me. But after a couple weeks in that program, it really seemed to be right for me. So as I was looking around, I noticed that UCF had this program in town, and it really is a great program. So it really caught my eye, and I applied to it, and yeah.
And it didn't stop you at all that you thought you might have to be artistic and creative and smart and electronically savvy all at once?
That's kind of what I liked about it. It's very broad and it's very generalized, and it combines aspects of all kinds of different arts. Film, fine art, writing, music. It's all in there. And that's what really drew my eye to it, I think.
We visited the Expo Center before. We visited the places where you're learning and putting this together. And what really struck me is how it really takes a team.
Oh, absolutely.
You cannot do this you cannot be the lone Atlas fish.
Absolutely. No, the teamwork that we get to put into the production is really what makes it so strong, I believe, because one person's creative ideas can only go so far. When you bounce creative ideas off of the other students, it's amazing what we've been able to come up with. We're here representing the other students. There's, like Max said, there's almost 60 in the whole program. There's 25 of us, and it's amazing what we've been able to accomplish so far together, putting our creative minds together, basically.
Well, great, and we're going to meet a couple more of your teammates.
Yeah.
Ricky, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You'll remember us when you're famous?
I'll try.
Thanks. We'll be right back. We're back. We're talking about the production, about the famous hero fish named Atlas and Atlas Revenge, meeting more of the team. This is Heather Trick, who is the art director, and we're going to be talking about the concept art.
Yeah.
And as Max was saying, this all started from the feelings that you guys got from Stella Sung's music, Atlas Revenge.
Yeah, and all this work came from basically last year. We got the music, we got the script, and in our class with Phil Peters, he's like, okay, tell me where you want it and what colors you want. And so basically, we all did our individual projects, we set it somewhere, And then we went through a couple of rounds and narrowed it down. So we picked out that we wanted it in Venice and that we wanted bright, happy colors because he's an 8-year-old fish. So you don't want to put him in a dreary, industrial, dark world.
You wanted him to be someplace he wanted to save.
Yeah, a nice place. And then from there we went on to, I think it was about 4 or 5 different teams that took the original concept, Venice, bright, happy, and then we had to remake the world based on the story, based on the mood that we wanted to convey. And I have some of that artwork. This is Venice, because in our opening credits we show the outside world, not just his tank. So this is one idea. And then here's another idea. So you see, like, everyone kind of has their own different take on how the movie should be.
So these were not the final products?
No, this one was actually the final one that was picked last year. And it's bright. It's actually an island in Venice called Burano, where it's fishermen's houses, and the story is they all painted their houses bright, different colors, so that when they're out to sea, they can pick out their house from way out there. So that's, one of the cool things. It shows their love for their house, just like Atlas's love for the tank. It's bright, happy colors. So, and then from there, because you have to go beyond just the story and make sure you cover every basis, even if it's not going to be shown in the film. So we had to decide what the family was going to be like that had this fish tank. So here's one idea for inside the home, an Italian home. And then another team's take on what the inside of the house would look like, where they keep the tank. This one had it in a study, and lots of old antique wood, lots of bright, warm oranges. And the final piece, we put him in a kitchen. Kind of sad. He has to look at the dead fish every day.
Thinking about that, the fisherman's home.
But, it's the same bright, happy colors. And then from there, we pull into the tank. And here's the first idea for the tank. And we took the name Atlas and made his house a globe. So when his house is falling down, he can lift it up, just like the mythological character.
Just like the real Atlas.
Yeah.
Right?
So, and here's another one, and we had to create different moods. So here's the happy mood, and then, when he's being chased by that vacuum fish, we had to create a different mood to show tension. So this group showed them both on the same picture.
So your class was divided into groups that actually did the concept of this, and,
Yeah.
and maybe the artist of the group created the...
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, and everybody here is an artist, so like what a lot of us did is somebody would draw up the framework of the picture, we'd pass it off, another person would paint it, and then we'd pass it off to another person. And so everyone got their hands on all the individual pieces of artwork. So that's what's great about the program, is you learn to work in teams and work off of each other's strengths and weaknesses, and everyone's good artists. Everything. You have to have everything to be here, but it's a lot of fun. And this was actually the final tank colors, the bright purple pirate ship that he has in there to play with, and it's a tropical place, so lots of bright corals. And then this is what it looks like in the chase scene. It's kind of darker, but still you can tell it's a tropical fish tank.
So then you finally have this. You decide on the outside, the inside of the house,
Yeah.
the kitchen, everything.
Yeah.
Then it's a huge job to put that together and make it part of animation, to have it as the background for him.
Yeah, and then I have the job where, because everyone has such different styles and their own idea of how they want the movie to be, I have to go, no, it has to be like this. So, you kind of gotta, everyone's very talented, and you gotta make sure it looks like the movie came from one person, not 26 different people. So that's kind of the hard but fun part. So.
I asked Ricky because a lot of times people trying to decide your age, younger, sometimes older,
Yeah.
what to do, to look for a career path for themselves. What made you end up here?
I don't think I knew what I wanted to do until the month that I was graduating high school, because my grandpa is an engineer, my dad's an accountant, all very academic fields. You learn something and you apply it.
Lots of numbers.
Oh yeah, lots of numbers, lots of studying, and so I kind of grew up in the academic world. And then on the other hand, I did musical theater. I did lots of arts and crafty stuff, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I watched Finding Nemo, the making of, and I was sold. And so it combines a lot of the technical field, but then I get to be creative, and that's why I love being art director, because I think I love just researching, things. Like we had to research fish tank and the music and, but then
Right,
take
it wasn't
your creative
just,
side.
oh, I'm going to draw a fish tank. You
Yeah.
have to really make it real and make it
Yeah.
make it richer by knowing, like you say, the background of it, even if it's not in there.
And a lot of people don't realize, they see a movie and they're like, oh, they just made a fish tank, somebody just drew it out. But we went through like 4 different fish tank ideas, and, we're deciding to do a tropical fish tank with, Greek decorations inside, and like we all have our reasons for it and the way it works in the film and the message that the colors convey without people even realizing it. We're manipulating how they perceive this character in the story. So
Ricky and I had talked about how much work goes into it, into little tiny bits, and I so remember late night editing, and you get in this zone that all of a sudden you look up and 9 hours have passed.
Oh, it's a lot, and that's what I did when I helped make the concept art, just staying up painting, and you originally planned to spend like so much time on one painting and make room for the rest of them, and you spend so much more time, and we have another person that's the editor, so I don't have to spend so much time doing that.
Because sometimes it's hard to edit yourself.
Oh yeah, and you're so like stuck in your one thing that you don't realize that you could be doing something wrong. You're like, this is how it has to be. So it's great to have that teamwork that we have in the visual language program.
And the moment you see, you're not to the final project yet, but the moment you see what you've worked for in all those increments, there's no other feeling.
Oh, it goes far beyond what you even thought was possible. It's great. So.
Do you find sometimes you get almost too close to it?
Definitely. That's one thing one of our teachers, Jim, always tells us is you can't love a drawing. So the best thing is to hurry up. Well, like do a good job, but like don't put lots of feeling into it. Show them, get somebody's critique before like you invest so much time and you love it, and then you got to throw it away, and it's never seen by other people. So,
what has been the most challenging part for this for you?
I think the most challenging part is because when you're in high school, they don't really focus as much on team productions, and it's all about your individual efforts
and competition.
Lots of competition. And this one, like, you can't, you have competition with other schools, but you have to learn how to take other people's strengths and weaknesses and apply your own. It's not all about making you better, it's about sacrificing some work because somebody can do it better, and being humble to be like, I can't, you take this, I can't do it. So really learning how to cooperate well with a team, and that's what I hear the industry looks for. So that's why it's great to have it. So.
It's that old adage, you're only as strong as your weakest
link.
Yeah.
So definitely.
But it doesn't seem like you have too many weak links for this.
Oh no, we find getting lots more talent. The more we get our program out there. I know we have the juniors that we're kind of keeping an eye on, and they're probably going to kick our butts next year in our story. They're already better in some of the Maya programming, I hear, but it's going to be great to see how this program progresses and to see the movies that come out after us. So I
have a feeling it sounds like you've learned the teamwork already pretty well.
Yeah, it's great.
Heather, thank you. We'll be right back.
Much.
We're going to introduce you to yet another member of the team. We're back. Now meet Nick Heffley, who is the editor. So do you have the thankless job of cutting all this wonderful stuff that you have to decide really what stays when everything's wonderful? But you have to trust your gut, don't you?
Definitely. It's a long job, a labor-intensive job, but the perk about it is that I actually can have some kind of foresight on the movie before anyone else does. I do have the power to say, these shots are not working, we got to get rid of that, or maybe we need to go back to the drawing board and storyboard out a new sequence.
We talk about storyboards a lot, and those of us in the business know what that is, but people probably have no clue what a storyboard is.
Well, basically a storyboard is just little drawings that we do. It's basically just a quick drawing, quick visualization of what you or how you're trying to choreograph the action of the movie. We have our environments, we have our characters. Now how do we put them together and tell a story with it? So these are just a few of the actual drawings that were taken out and replaced. The process is an ongoing process of replacing it until we have all of our T's crossed and our I's dotted. We have stacks of these that are on the floor now, basically. We have boards around the room, hundreds of boards that are up. So the 25 of us, each of us in the matter of a few months have probably drawn, I don't know, at least 50 storyboards apiece to get that action right where we want it, and to really make the most out of Atlas and RoboFish in this piece.
Sometimes in the editing process, you'll have to be a very visual person, and you'll have all this in your head, I remember, and it looks so great in your head, and then when you put it together, it just doesn't make it. It's not for any other reason, it just doesn't make it.
Right. And the very unique task that we have is that we already have a piece of music to work from. It's our foundation for how the pacing in the movie is going to go, and really how is Atlas going to resolve his problem. We go through and we might have the most beautiful sequence that we could have come up with, but if it doesn't fit the music, then we've got to go back and say, how can we cut this sequence? How can we change it? How can we make it just as good, but also kind of fit into this little cubby that is the music?
And that's the hardest part sometimes,
Right.
is having that time constraint. And you have to, and sometimes it does look absolutely gorgeous, but you have to change it anyway.
Exactly. So it's a blessing because we do have those beats. We know how long the piece is going to be. We know what we're drawing these boards for. But we just, sometimes things don't fit together and they've got to get cut or changed or, manipulated a little bit to really fit with the tone of the music.
Have you ever had any of those moments that I used to call glorious mistakes, that you put something together and didn't expect, and it's like, yes, I meant to do that?
Well, we certainly have had those mistakes. A couple parts in the music. Some people did some shots, and it just happened to be, as their shots were getting laid in, oh, this shot is kind of a low point in the story, and it's going on this nice, low string part, where other parts are very intense, and we just happened to have a crash, and there was a cymbal crash there, and it just, things line up for a reason, and it just makes the story that much better, and it really deepens the story to have this amazing orchestral piece behind it. So.
Were you surprised when you got into this, of being an artist? I've seen your work; it's absolutely beautiful. And usually, when you're doing a piece of work, you don't have to finish it at a certain time or work with lots of other people. How much this involved? How much time? How many people? How much everything? Well,
it's certainly a very intensive process. We've been working on this since last spring. We've been revamping the story. This is already the second draft of the story. It was completely about something else, but we have been really going back at the story and going back at the concept art that Heather was talking about earlier, revamping that. How is his tank going to look? How is everything going to look? And we just really go back and work on it until it's done. And we do have deadlines, and you got to keep those in mind, but that's where you learn to be a quicker artist and make better decisions, so that you don't have to have any hang-ups or snags that make you go back to the beginning.
And that will really help you once you graduate and you do have clients.
Certainly.
Nick Heffley, just one of, how many, 35 of you, 30 of you all together? Lots and lots of kids working on this. You'll come back when you're before the Academy Awards and tell us how you're doing.
Certainly, yes.
Okay, this is from, make sure I'm going to get this right, the visual language from the Department of Digital Media at the Center of Emerging Media. For more information, just go ahead and hit that website we've been showing you. Nick, thank you. Thanks to Heather.
Thank you.
Thanks to Ricky. And as always, thanks to Max. And thank you for watching. I'm Charna Wiese. We'll see you next time.